All right, so good morning. Here we are. So we are in a fabulous training session today. I want to welcome everybody. What are you excited about today? I mean, I'd just love to know from the standpoint of the chat, what are you excited to learn today? Just if you could chat in the box, or you can even put it on Twitter and let everybody know that you're in this webinar. I just want to know, what are you excited about? Whether it's about writing ebooks or creating a stream of revenue through Kindle, what are you excited about? Because I think that's where being able to write an ebook in 7 days really comes from. It comes from a passion for what you're writing about. It comes from this idea that you have this message to share with the world. People needed you not simply today, but they needed that message 6 months ago. And so what fuels the 7 day process is this passion and this desire to share with the world what you've learned, what you know to be true, and what you know, if they take it in, it could really transform their lives. It could really change the game for them. So that's where you kind of begin this 7 day process, from what I call the fire in the belly. And then the passion fuels the 7 day process. So let's just get started and start talking about this. So welcome. I want to say thank you for taking the time on a Saturday. I've never really done a webinar on a Saturday, so this is interesting. We'll see how many of my 3 children decide to knock on the door and interrupt me while I'm doing this webinar. What you're going to learn today is how to write your ebook in 7 days or less. And really, it's an important thing to understand that 7 days or less is critical, because it doesn't, to me, whether you are writing an ebook because you want to establish yourself as an expert in your field, or you're writing your ebook because you want to build a whole stream of revenue just from Kindle alone, or you're writing ebooks because you want to be known as the number one person to go to for this. Being able to write ebooks that are content driven, high quality, absolutely amazing in 7 days or less is key, because you want to write more than 2 ebooks. And if you're running all of the other parts of your business, or if you've got a career that's, you're working 40 to 60 hours a week, being able to write an ebook in 7 days or less is critical to doing that. So that's what we're here to talk about. Thank you for joining in. We're going to talk about how do you actually do that, write your ebook in 7 days or less. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my mission. I've always known, that my mission has been to uplift and change people's minds about the greatness of their lives. And I think there are so many ways that you can do that for people. A smile can uplift and change somebody's mind about the greatness of their lives. A book can do that. I used to write screenplays. A script, a movie, a film can do that. And so for me right now in my life, my mission is to help 50,000 entrepreneurs add a zero to their business revenue writing ebooks by, my 40th birthday, which is coming up January 15th, 2018. Very fast, actually. But that's my mission. I want to see 50,000 entrepreneurs. And trust me, if you are writing ebooks and you're selling them on Kindle, whether this is a part-time side business for you or this is a full-time business, you are an entrepreneur. So some people call them authorpreneurs, but you are an entrepreneur. So I want to see 50,000 entrepreneurs really build their business brand with ebooks and add a zero to whatever they're making in revenue right now. And I've got a very short timeline to do that. So here is why we are here today. Thank you for joining me. I want to let you know, first of all, you're in the right place. This is exactly where you want to be. On today's free webinar, I'm going to share with you the exact strategies, the timelines, and the templates that I use to write an 18,000 word ebook in 7 days or less. And I'm going to talk about, as we get into this, why 18,000 words is a really key point. But we'll jump into that in a little bit. I'm also going to talk to you today about what I learned about writing and selling Kindle books, and what it really takes to create an ebook empire that has both reach and revenue. Now, reach and revenue are 2 different things. And so I just want to start out by saying it's not simply about the Kindle revenue. There are aspects to this ebook branding piece that is about much more than just the Kindle side of things. I especially want to speak to those who don't have an established author platform yet, who don't have 10,000 people signed up for their email list or 30,000 followers on Twitter and Instagram. I'm especially talking to people who don't have a built-in marketing team and really haven't built up a list as of yet or have a small list. And I'm also going to talk about how do you find time to build a Kindle empire when the core parts of your business demand your full-time attention too. Whether you have a full-time career that's very demanding or you're a stay-at-home parent and you have full-time demands at home, or you've got a business that requires you to meet with clients, find new clients, do speaking engagements, adding the ebook to your business as both a revenue stream and also a way to brand yourself, your company, and your business. It is a part of the business, but you've got other responsibilities. So I'm going to speak to you, how do you write an ebook in 7 days when you have all of those other responsibilities as well? And the question that I get a lot from people is, if you're writing an ebook, one ebook a week, so an ebook in 7 days, is it really worth it? And you might be asking yourself, can I really create a passive form of income via ebooks? There are a lot of people out there. I just interviewed Cont'd, and if you listen to Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income podcast, so you can find him at smartpassiveincome.com. He also interviewed Cont'd, and I interviewed Cont'd for my podcast, and he's one who does make revenue from his ebooks on Kindle, but it took him a year or two to get there. And he talks about it in the interview with me and also the interview with Pat Flynn, smartpassiveincome.com, about what it took to get there. Like, he didn't make sales for a long time when he put his first ebook out there, but when he learned what to do to market and promote the book, not only did he increase his revenue on Kindle, but he got an actual publishing deal. He still is publishing new books through a publisher now, and he's making passive income from his ebooks on Kindle. So can you actually create a passive form of income via ebooks? And you might be asking, how much work is it going to take to do that? Like time, money, effort, and energy. And on today's free training, I'm going to answer all of those questions and then some. So we're going to, no matter where you are in the ebook creation stage, if you've already written a few ebooks and they're not selling as well as you want them to, or you're just wanting to get into it for the first time, or you find that you're really looking for, more, then this is the place for you to really, really be. So I would say, definitely. So, oh, beautiful. So I'm just looking at a couple of things. You probably can see my screen, but I just want to go into the questions a little bit and the answers. Hi, Daniela. Hi, Emily. Oh, awesome. Yes. So writing an ebook on relationships, that's one of the biggest ebook categories. On Kindle, romance novels are always a top seller, and books on relationships are always really good on Kindle. But what's funny is the books that do really well on Kindle that are focused on relationships use all kind of keywords that you wouldn't necessarily think of in terms of relationships. They use words like self-esteem, depression, anxiety, marital problems. Like, they connect to words that connect to relationships, and people find those books on relationships through those keywords. So, and yes, lead magnets, you can use ebooks all the time to develop lead magnets. And Emily, you want to focus on how to crank out content quickly to start making big money and touch. Yes, powerful. And here's the thing about that I definitely want to talk about. I've seen a lot of people start writing ebooks and start making revenue pretty fast. And the way that they do it is they have a team. And the team doesn't always have to be people that you pay. If you've got a group of really great friends who can help you and they can be on your team, like somebody who's a great interviewer, not interviewer, editor. Like, if you have a friend who does editing for a living, or they were a copy editor and they're willing to do the editing for you for the first few books, like get a commitment of 2 or 3 books, that's awesome. You don't have to pay them. You tell them, I'll take you out to dinner, or you figure out some bartering situation. If you know graphic designers who do really great covers for ebooks and they're willing to assist you with the first 2 or 3 ebook covers, and then you negotiate a higher price point once you're making a certain amount of revenue from your ebooks, negotiate, barter, find your team without necessarily having to spend any money. So for example, I'm hiring a VA now, but prior to hiring a VA to post my free and 99-cent book promotions, my mother was doing it for me. I would just send her the Excel file and she would send it out. So I want you to know that there's many ways, even if you're low on funds, to build the team that you need. So it doesn't matter what stage you're in, we're going to focus on getting you where you need to be. Now, it doesn't matter what your writing plans are or whether or not you've written ebooks before or if you're super busy in your business, because contrary to what a lot of the ebook publishing, digital publishing, self-publishing experts are putting out there about ebooks, there are at least 1,000 ways to experience publishing success. And I think it's really important, especially if you're in the beginning of this, do not limit the ways that you can build revenue in your business with ebooks. There are many, many ways to do it. So don't think it has to go one way that you read about on Business Insider or that you saw an article on Forbes. It can go many, many different ways. So here's the problem with all of that. Like, we can talk about revenue all day long, but you've got to actually write the book. So, for a lot of people, they have all of these ideas and they have all of these things going on, and they're not actually writing the book. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. They think it's going to take them weeks, months, and years to get their ebook perfectly written. And then they procrastinate. 6 months are gone and nothing's written. Nothing's on Amazon. Nothing is done. And that's got to stop today. So the point of being here today is to say, no more of that. I am going to get my message out into the world. So I want you to think of it this way. Today is day 1. And in the next 14 days, you're going to write your first ebook. Now, I say 14 days, and I'm going to talk about this as we dive in. I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit because there is pre-work that you actually have to do before the 7 days of writing goes into effect. So I would say start from today. Today's day number 1. You're going to spend the next 7 days doing your pre-work. And then in the second week, day number 1 of actual writing begins. And by the 14th day, that ebook should be copywritten and up on Kindle. So day number 1 today, 14 days from now, I definitely want you to send me an email with a link to your Amazon author profile to see that book up on Kindle or on your lead magnet. If you're using it as a lead magnet, send me the link to your lead page or your opt-in page so I can see and I can sign up for it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to lay out the options, ideas, and techniques that you can start implementing today. Again, I am a firm believer that you get it done. You get it done now. You go all the way. Today is day number 1. Doesn't matter what's on the schedule. Today is it. Begin today. So, and really, the reason for beginning now is so critical. I mean, if you've got a message that you need to share with the world, like, for example, Daniela is helping people with relationships. Listen, we're in a society where the divorce rate is quickly getting to 60%, where it is the norm for people to be in households where one parent doesn't live here, they're moving back and forth, where it's a norm that people make all kinds of relationship mistakes. They oftentimes leave a relationship too soon. They bring their relationship baggage to the next relationship and wonder why they keep repeating the same patterns. For a writer like Daniela, she can't wait. Like, people needed her a year ago. They needed her 2 years ago. They're in pain. Their relationships are suffering. Like, one of the reasons for doing it now is the people who are your tribe, who are your target reading audience, they need your message now. And one of the best ways to start sharing your work, sharing your mission, and sharing your message is to write an ebook that people can then read on their smartphone, their tablet, their laptop. They can read it anywhere. And when you add the audiobook component to it, Kindle has ACX, where you can actually narrate your own ebook, or you can hire a voiceover actor, which is super cheap, to narrate an ebook for you. You can now both get revenue from the ebook itself on Amazon, but also from the audio version of the book. So now you've got 2 ways to get revenue from the same ebook that you wrote. So my question is, does this sound exciting to you? Like, does this idea of you getting your message into the world, serving your tribe, the people who need you, helping them transform their lives, does this sound like something that you really are excited about? Because excitement is key to doing this 7-day process. So again, it's important to do those things. So let's start talking about it. Now, I'm also going to talk by the end of today about the eBook Branding VIP program. And this is a 12-week online training platform that I've created for entrepreneurs who want to add revenue by writing ebooks. And I'll talk to you more about it later, but it really is a solid program that walks you through every aspect of not just writing the ebook, but branding it, promoting it, creating the right team the first time so you don't fire and hire people for 6 months and then figure out what's going to work. And there's just so much that comes into it. Interviews with experts who are doing this full time, making the kind of money that you're looking to make from it. So there's a lot in the eBook Branding VIP program, and I'm going to talk about that later. Now, let's get down to work. I said have paper, pencil, Evernote, Microsoft Word, whatever it is you want to use, because we're going to actually go through a lot of material today and we're going to get down to work. So I want you to pull out a notebook and I want you to do a couple of things. Number one, I want you to write down your current book niche. So if it is relationships, then it's, your niche might be relationships, but you could even sub-niche it and go further. You could go into coping after divorce. That's an example of something that would be relationships. Or cohabitating. That's a sub-niche of relationships. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to write down your current book niche. So what heading, if somebody were looking for your ebook, what would they be looking for? Would it be mysteries? Would it be romance? Would it be self-help? Would it be nonfiction? Would it be inspirational, motivational? What do you think at this point is your current book niche? And then the second thing I want you to do is write out 5 to 10 keywords that you believe your readers will be searching for when they come across your ebook, and just save those responses. So when we think about keywords, imagine that your target reading audience, they're going on Google because they need help with something. And what are the keywords that they're putting in? Like, are they putting in coping with long distance relationships? Are they putting in relationship problems? Are they putting in, should I get a divorce? Are they putting in how to make the marriage work? What are the key phrases that your target reading audience would be searching on Google? Because those are going to help you with your titles and your subtitles for your book. So write what you think would be the 5 to 10, and then just save that, because we're going to come back to that when we talk about titles. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about are the top 3 mistakes that Kindle writers are making, and why the experts, meaning all of the people who are out there talking about how do you write ebooks, how do you self-publish, how do you publish on the digital space, why the experts are not talking about it. I think before we start talking about how to write a book in 7 days, you need to understand some of the mistakes that ebook authors are making right now so you can avoid them. Again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can learn from other people's mistakes. So the top 3 mistakes are this. Mistake number 1 is people write for the wrong reasons. So again, a lot of people are writing because they want to gain more revenue. They look at people like Steve Scott, and S.J. Scott is a big one. He makes anywhere from $40,000 to over $60,000 a month from Amazon revenue of sales of his ebooks alone. So he's bringing in, after Amazon's cut, over $40,000 a month, and he's been doing this for years. And a lot of people go into that because that's what they're looking for. They want the extra revenue. A lot of people go into this because they want to be seen as the expert. But you need to be very clear before you even write your first ebook on why you're writing it, because there's a difference between writing an ebook for expertise validation. So people saying, yes, you are qualified because not only are you a therapist, but you wrote those 3 books on blended families. That's expertise validation. But what you're also doing with an ebook catalog is you're creating a brand. And oftentimes people will start writing ebooks because they want the revenue and they want to be seen as an expert, but they didn't connect the dots to brand creation. So what they're doing is they're writing all of these different ebooks on all of these different topics. So when somebody looks at their entire ebook catalog, they don't see an expert. They don't see a brand. They just see all of these books on all of these different things that are not at all connected to each other. So again, mistake number 1 is that the focus, writing for the wrong reasons, revenue versus reach, acclaim versus impact. The key thing to remember about ebooks is that you want reach first. Revenue is secondary. Revenue will come if you create the brand. Revenue will come if you do the reach properly. But revenue cannot be the first objective. It's got to be reach. It's got to be brand creation, because brand creation will actually validate your expertise if you align all the books in your catalog properly. And it's got to be about impact, not acclaim. So it's got to be about how many people am I serving with these books? How many people am I reaching with these books? So first mistake is writing for the wrong reasons. Second mistake is building the hype about one book instead of building the platform for an entire catalog of books. This is a thing that I see authors do over and over and over again. That is such a huge mistake. They focus on one book. So how do I make this great launch with this first book? How do I get on an Amazon bestseller list with this first book? But you really need to think about your entire catalog before you ever write the first book, because you've got to be sure that every book in your ebook catalog aligns with the next one, connects somehow to the next one, fits with the next one. And a lot of ebook authors don't think that way. They think about the book they're working on right now, and then when they have 5 books, they look at their catalog and the books don't align. They don't fit with each other. So again, mistake number 2 is really focusing on the hype about launching one book rather than building a platform for an entire catalog. The third mistake that a lot of Kindle authors make is focusing on launch rather than reach. I hear a lot of talk about launch, and I think there are systems of doing the launch well if your goal is to be on a bestseller list, and it's not hard to do that if you follow the systems. So you hire a VA, you give them the 100 sites where they can post your book when it's 99 cents or free. You have them post to those 100 sites as soon as your book is listed for 99 cents, and then again when it's listed for free. And literally, if you do that, your book will hit some Amazon bestseller list just by the sheer numbers of downloads that you're getting. But again, when you're focused on launch rather than reach, I mean, saying that you've been on an Amazon bestseller list is great, but if all the books are free, you didn't make any money. And did people really read your book, which is reach? Did people really like your book? Did it help them? Did they turn around after reading your book? Did they sign up to be on your email list? That's reach. Did they follow you on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook? That's reach. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make is focusing on doing a really awesome launch rather than investigating and making sure that by producing this book, it created reach, more email subscribers, more followers on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, more people who know about you, who are connected to you, who are interested in the other work that you do in the world. And, really why the experts aren't really talking about this is because not a lot of people want to hear that it takes a long time to make, like Steve Scott, $50,000, $60,000 a month on Kindle. People don't want to hear it takes 2 or 3 years to do that. People really want something that is quick and fast and they can do it quickly, but sustainable Kindle profitability does require a long-term approach. Creating a brand with ebooks that is well known, and when people see your books, they know you wrote it. They know what it's about. They know the quality that you deliver. It takes time. Building relationships with your readers, that takes time. And so the amount of time, energy, and strategy that goes into creating this kind of a platform and this kind of a reach and revenue is not something that's going to sit well with people who are looking for immediate gratification, or people who are looking to quit their day job tomorrow because they just want to make enough to Kindle income to cover what they were making in their day jobs. That's not how it works. And so a lot of the experts won't mention that, because if you start to talk about, well, this is really an investment of 9 months of your time before you start to really reap the benefits, or 12 months or 18 months, you will lose a lot of people by talking long term. But here's the thing. Ebook authors need a new way of looking at this whole paradigm. And when we talk about a new ebook paradigm, we're talking about beginning with your life's purpose and having a vision for how you want to help people transform their lives, and then creating product. And when I say product, I don't mean just ebooks. I mean ebooks, courses, online training, one-on-one client interaction, coaching sessions that are all brought to the attention of your readers through your ebooks and then promoting them. So this new paradigm goes from your purpose to a vision you have for your target audience, to products that you're creating, including the ebook, to promoting all of that within the realm of self-publishing with ebooks. Now, here's the thing about branding through Kindle self-publishing. You already know you have a powerful message to share, and you have an amazing number of readers who have a problem that needs to be solved. One of the things you got to get super clear on before you ever write an ebook is that there are tons of people who have specific problems that you have answers to, and that you can deliver the solutions in a way that other writers or other coaches or other consultants cannot, and that by writing this ebook, you can give them the best solutions. And you've got to know that those individuals are out there and they're ready and willing to pay for it. So the question becomes, if you know all of this, you know your message is powerful, you know it'll change the world, you know people need it, the problems exist, you have the best solution, your tribe needs to hear it from you. What is keeping you stuck? What's keeping you stuck? You know? Information overload. Information overload. I mean, there's so many ways to do ebooks, you know, and everybody thinks they know exactly what it takes to build a Kindle empire, and you're hearing different theories of how to write them and how to do them. And some people say just create your own cover design in using PowerPoint or Photoshop, and other people say no, you've got to absolutely always use a graphic designer. There are all of these different ideas about what it takes to do the work that we're talking about doing. And at the same time, you also have people who are saying, well, the ebook market is very competitive, that Kindle especially is highly competitive, and that very few Kindle authors actually get profitability from Kindle. And the reality is those same people who are talking about that are currently making quite a bit of revenue from Kindle. So it's kind of an oxymoron that they would say it's super competitive and it's hard to make money here, but they're making money. So, you know, the beautiful part about where we are right now is what we're talking about doing by building your business brand using ebooks, adding revenue streams to your current revenue base with ebooks. This wasn't possible 15 or 20 years ago. We're now in a time where you don't have to, I mean, there is self-publishing freedom and agency unlike anything that has ever been done before. You no longer have to find a literary agent or send out all of these query letters and convince people to, you know, read your manuscript and consider whether or not they're going to take you on as a client, and consider whether or not they're going to pitch your book to the publishing houses. Long gone are the days of praying that you're going to get a meeting with Random House or Penguin or any of the major New York City publishers. You no longer have to sign away all of your rights to a book that you spent years writing for a measly $5,000 advance and maybe 10%. I mean, I don't even think there is 10% royalty with Random House or Penguin. I think it's more like 3 to 7%. Again, with the technology and social media access, you now become your own publishing house. You're it. You're your own Random House. You're your own Penguin. So, and your revenue generating options are endless. So it's not just about like the 30% or the 70% royalties that you can make on Amazon. You now can, with that ebook, create multiple streams of revenue from every single ebook that you use. So I think it's really important to remember that this is one of the best times, and it's just going to get better because the technology is going to get better. All of it's going to get better. This is a great time to be writing and selling and using ebooks to build your business brand. So the question is, okay, what does it take to go from aspiring author to established brand as a Kindle self-publisher? And, you know, let me go back for 1 second because I want to just talk for a few minutes about why I'm really focusing on Kindle. Kindle is not the only option in terms of ebook publishing. There's, you know, iTunes, there's Google Books, there's Kobo, there's a whole bunch of different ones. The reality is, in general, the ebook publishing atmosphere has a lot of quirks that need to be worked out. So we're still in the beginning phase of things where, you know, I mean, even to upload on Amazon, there are clunky pieces to it and things that don't work and things that you wish were different. But Amazon is the best place to start with your ebooks. Number one, because it's Amazon. number one retailer in the world. Number two, because when you put your books on Amazon, it automatically gives you credibility. Number three, Amazon's process for joining KDP and for being a bookseller on Amazon is relatively painless. Whereas Kobo and Google and Apple, they take a little bit longer. And then the royalty options that you get with Kindle are higher. So when you sell an ebook on Kindle, you can get anywhere from 30% to 70% royalty. And so if you want to start out, I mean, you can eventually bridge to all of those other ones if you want to. But I would always say start out with Amazon. It's just the most popular. And also when people search for your books on Amazon, it is the only ebook seller where they can search for topics based on relevance, not just sales numbers. So a lot of the other ones, your book won't get found as easily if it's not selling millions of downloads already. Amazon focuses on relevance in addition to sales and how it's doing in the marketplace. So I just wanted to say that so that you know kind of why my focus is on Amazon and the Kindle market. But I want to share a story with you, kind of interesting too. And having written screenplays, I have to tell you that I see all books, no matter what genre they're from a screenplay perspective. And so when you think of a film or a movie or a book, a fiction book, what's at the core of any great story? And it's usually a hero with a problem. You know, years ago, I was going through secondary infertility, and I don't know that you ever not go through that. But once you've had one child, you assume it's going to be super easy, and then it's not. And then 4 years go by and you still don't have a second child. So they call it secondary infertility. And I was in my 20s then. So I'm 37 now, I was in my 20s, and I'm early 20s. I must have been 22 at the time or 21. And I wanted a second child, and for the life of me, I just couldn't get pregnant. And the doctors would poo-poo it away. So now at 37 and wanting to have more kids, the doctors take it very, very seriously. They're like, you're 37, your eggs are older. I mean, they're taking it super serious. But when I was 21 going to the doctor, they were sort of like, you're 21, you're a baby, don't worry about it, relax, it'll happen. But I spent about 4 years where for the life of me, it just wasn't happening. And I had my son, who is now 18 years old, and he would play outside in the backyard and he would be by himself, and I would feel so sad that he didn't have a sibling. He didn't have anybody to play with. And so 4 years into the journey, I decided to write a book about it. Because back then, I mean, think about it, my oldest is 18. So at the time that I was going through this, he was about 2 to 6. Nobody was really talking about infertility. Nobody was talking about what it feels like when you either don't have any children and you can't get pregnant, or you have one and you can't get pregnant again. Nobody was really talking about how painful that journey could be. How do you answer questions when you go places and family says, well, when are you having your next one? Or when are you guys having a baby? It was a really, really tough journey that a lot of people keep very secret. And so I decided to write a book about it. And that was 2003. And in 2003, there was no Twitter, there's no Instagram, there wasn't Kindle. I don't even know if there was Amazon way back then, but there was self-publishing, okay? The old-fashioned way. And in case you don't know what the old-fashioned way looks like, in 2003, I did what any aspiring author would do. I published the book myself. So I literally called up printing presses in Michigan, and I got quotes on how much it would cost to print and order of 5,000 copies of the book. And the book is called Conceiving by Faith. And I paid the printing press $5,000. I did a really simple cover to print out 5,000 copies of the book, and the books came to me on a big truck, hauled down my dead end street, and they just dropped all the books, and all the books were just sitting there in boxes, 5,000 of them. Now, with no experience in marketing, sales, or publishing, where do you think those books ended up? Anybody want to guess? I'm just curious. I had no experience with marketing, sales, publishing. Where do you think those books ended up? Yep, in my garage. Just like this this is not the actual picture of them, but just imagine tons of boxes that look like the boxes that are on top of this washer and dryer. That's where the books ended up. I had I had written the book. It was my passion project. I had paid for these 5,000 copies. The printer, old-fashioned printing presses, printed the books, sent them to me. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing with those books. And you know what? It didn't matter that I had writing talent. It didn't matter that there was a clear target market for this topic, especially back then. Nobody was talking about infertility at all. It didn't even matter that I had local media and press writing articles about my infertility journey. I mean, literally, I had the local newspaper, other newspapers come over, bring their photographers, take pictures. I was featured in the newspaper. I got so much press to the point where when I finally did have my second and my third child, and I was at the local hospital giving birth to my third child, my daughter Ava, one of the nurses recognized me from the article that she read years back on this book. So I'd done a lot of the steps, but there was one thing missing that in 2003 you could not manufacture without a lot of resources: reach. You couldn't get reach in 2003 the way that you can seamlessly get reach on social media, and you can get it online. And so if you fast forward to today, I've currently got 3 published books on the Kindle platform. I have a lot of unpublished ones because I'm trying to, again, align the brand and the catalog. I write 1 Kindle ebook a week. So if you go to my Amazon author profile, you'll see these first 3 on there. There are 3 more that are going up next week. So, and I want you to notice something. I hope I can actually change back. Okay, so let's see. So all of my books, with the exception of, there are 2 that are not focused on one specific brand idea in the catalog. All of my books center around fears and overcoming fears. 10 Things Brilliant Women Do That Other Women Won't is like, it's the book that I adore. And I think it's such a powerful message for women. So it's outside of my catalog because it's focused on empowering women. But every other book in my catalog, except for this one and Choose You Not Divorce, are centered around the idea of teaching people how to turn their fear into fuel, teaching people how to overcome fear. So if you notice, look at these covers. From Employee to Entrepreneur, How to Overcome the Fear of Starting a Business. It's about fear. Uncover your real fears, face your fears, and move beyond them. It's about fear. If you go to the 3 that I'm releasing this week, again, Choose You Not Divorce is the second and the only one of the 2 that are not in my ebook catalog and about fear. But again, that's another book that I love and adore and really is about something very personal to me. But look at Begin Again, 32 ways to release the fear of starting over, 21 ways to make your fear work for you. All of my books in my ebook catalog, with the exception of Choose You Not Divorce and 10 Things Brilliant Women Do That Other Women Won't, are about turning fear into fuel. And that was a very conscious decision on my part. I have every single book that I'm going to release this year already written out, title, subtitle, what it's really going to be about, and they're all about overcoming fear. So I say that to say that you want to create your ebook catalog, at least the names of the books, the title, the subtitle, because you want to make sure that they all align and connect to the overarching theme, brand, the idea, and the message, the core message that you want to get out into the world. So, and each of these books I wrote in 7 days or less. I mean, some of them I had to double up on because there were weeks when I missed a week of writing a book that week. So the next week I had to turn around and kind of crank it up and write 2. But again, when you know this system, you can easily double up on weeks where you miss for whatever given reason. So here's what we're going to cover today. So we got a big agenda. I never like to see like 11 items on an agenda. Unfortunately, I want you to be able to walk away. Fortunately, I want you to walk away with being able to just implement. So we have a lot of things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the top 10 things I learned about branding through Kindle publishing. We've already covered that. So we just talked about those. The top 3 mistakes Kindle writers are making and why the experts aren't talking about it. That's also a done deal. What we're going over next are the 3 things you need to decide before you write your ebook. Then we're going to talk about the 3 key people and 3 key resources you need on board before you write. We're going to talk about how to create your ebook catalog. We're going to talk about 4 steps to writing amazing ebook titles and subtitles. Your titles and subtitles are key. Let me go back. Again, I'm just going to say one thing because I want to make sure that we get this. Notice 21 ways to make your fear work for you. So this doesn't have a subtitle. Almost all of my books, with the exception of 3 or 4, do. The title is what talks about the problem. The subtitle is what talks about the solution. So if you notice, begin again, what is the problem? How do people begin again? Like when you've fallen in life, how do you start over? And then notice the subtitle, 32 Ways to Release the Fear of Starting Over. So when somebody sees this book cover on Kindle, they know a couple things. Number one, the problem that my book is going to solve for them is how do you begin again? The solution that I'm going to give them in this book are 32 ways to release the fear of starting over. So before they've even previewed the first 5 or 6 pages of the book, they already know the problem that's going to be solved. They already know that I'm going to give them 32 ways to release the fear of starting over. They get both. Your covers, your title and your subtitle should always give the problem and the solution so people know what they're getting before they've even previewed the actual content of the book. So back to this. So then after we talk about that, then we're going to talk about the ebook beat sheet. So again, I come from a screenwriting background. With a screenwriting background, I can tell you that I never wrote a screenplay, well, except for the amateur years. Amateur years, I just wrote whatever I wanted and thought it was going to be great until I pitched it in Hollywood and they said, you don't know how to write. But screenplays, if you're writing them, you begin with structure. You don't begin with dialogue. And so when you're writing ebooks, it's really important to have a structure. To know the only way you're going to crank out one ebook in 7 days is if you already know what the structure is going to be. You already know what each chapter's got to cover. So we're going to go over the ebook beat sheet, what it is and why you need it. Then we're going to talk about the 7-day writing timeline. We're going to talk about the ebook description breakdown, and then we're going to talk about your ebook branding VIP program, and then and then we'll have time for Q&A where you can ask me questions. So there are my 3 little cuties. My oldest is actually just graduated from high school, just turned 18. I told him he's an adult now. And I also told him I'm young enough to look like his sister because I'm 37 and he's 18. And he's about to go to the University of Utah, and he's going to major in chemical engineering. My 2 little ones are about to turn 11 and 9. And I know this is going to sound totally crazy, but I'm hoping I can have 5 more kids before I get too old to do so. So I will essentially be starting over by having 5 more kids. And again, you know what the beautiful thing about writing ebooks? You could be totally pregnant and write so many books. Like you just sit in your bed and you type and you write and you share with the world. So it's an awesome thing. So grab your notebook, your pen, your mat, whatever you need. This is a do as we talk workshop. We're going to get started. So the 3 things you need to decide before you write your ebook. 3 things. Okay. There are really 3 questions that you need to answer. The first question is, where is my expertise? The second question is, what do I want to be known for? And the third question are, what are the top 10 to 20 problems that my target audience needs solved now? So here's the thing. For me, when I first started writing ebooks, I wasn't focusing on being an ebook branding strategist, which I am. I really wanted to teach people how to turn their fear into fuel. I think fear, as a life coach, as a business coach, I've coached thousands of people at this point. I've been coaching since 2003. I can tell you that I can coach somebody and we could develop this detailed 90-day action plan. It could be just perfection. The number one thing that I see get in people's way more than anything else is fear. So I chose to build an ebook catalog around the idea of turning fear into fuel because to me, it doesn't matter what the goal is, what the dream is, what the aspiration, it always comes back to fear. And if people learn how to turn their fear into fuel, then they can overcome any obstacle, they can go for the goal, they can attain it. So the first question you want to ask yourself is, where is my expertise? Look at your background. Look at what you've been through in life, your experiences. Like, what do you know about? At this point, I've written enough books, 1 book a week in 7 days, that I know a lot about this. I can tell you how to do it with my eyes closed because I've done it enough. Where is your expertise is the first question. The second question is equally important. What do you want to be known for? So see, when you think about this question, it's not just what do you want to be known for in the eyes of your target audience or your target client. It's when CNN or E! News or any of the CNBC shows think about somebody, or the Today Show, they think about somebody they need to call to come be interviewed on a certain topic next week. Are they thinking about you? Like, what do you want to be known for? If it's a relationship expert, specifically what kinds of relationships? So you could be an expert on blended families. You could be an expert on coping with divorce. You could be an expert on rebuilding a marriage after the death of a child. What do you want to be known for? So when all of the media outlets are desperately searching for people to come in and be the expert being interviewed on the Today Show, the morning news, CNN, CNBC, you're the person they think of because you have established your expertise. That's going to be the question. So, what do you want to be known for is the question. And you want to think about what are so 3 things. Where is my expertise? What do I want to be known for? And then what are the top 10 to 20 problems that my target audience needs solved now? This is another super important question. So there are lots of things we're passionate about that we want to write about, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those are the most pressing needs, the most pressing problems of your target audience. If you don't know what the biggest issues are for the people that you're writing for, go to iVillage, go to Quora.com, Quora.com. It's question and answer. Go to Yahoo Answers. I haven't been on Yahoo Answers in a long time. I hope it's still there. Go to any of the discussion boards that cover your topic. Go to Huffington Post. Huffington Post covers everything. See what people are discussing. Ask people on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, like, what are your biggest problems related to this? Related to coping with major life transitions or death or divorce, and hear from people first and figure out, okay, well, what are the 10 to 20 biggest problems that they've got and that they need solved right now? Because once you nail down those 10 to 20 problems, you've got your first 10 to 20 books. So that's the beauty of answering these things first. So now let me give you the 3 key people and the 3 key resources that you need on board before you write. So 3 key people that you need: your graphic designer, your book editor, your virtual assistant. Again, like I said before, you can barter these things. You can barter them. You can, exchange whatever your expertise is in for somebody else to bring that expertise to the table. I found my graphic designer on elance.com. He's awesome. He's amazing. His turnaround time for me is 2 to 3 days, and we are typically 3 to 5 book covers ahead of the book I'm writing at the moment. So I always have my book covers way before I need them. So you definitely need your graphic designer. Now, with a graphic designer, I'm just going to say a couple things, and I want you to keep this in mind. When you create the description that you're going to post on Elance, or I would highly recommend not using Fiverr. I don't like Fiverr. I've only had one experience with Fiverr, and it was absolutely awful. I'm not going to defame anybody's character, but I'm going to say I don't go to Fiverr for really anything. But Elance is a great source. So what you would do is you would create a job description for a graphic designer. There is one section of Elance where you can choose ebooks and blogs. So that would be part of what you're looking for, somebody to design a cover for you, an ebook. Just be sure that when you create the job description for the graphic designer, you put somewhere in there something like pink elephant or orange elephant. Please respond back with orange elephant in the body of your response. That just eliminates people who didn't really read it. That eliminates people who may not really be designers or computers or other things. Put some kind of code word in your description so that when they respond to you, you know they actually read the whole thing. And put the code word. I used orange elephant the last time, all the way at the bottom to make sure that they've actually read to the bottom. Your book editor, again, another person you can find on elance.com or any VA or outsourcing, somebody who has edited ebooks before, somebody who has references so you can check them, and somebody who you can say to, I'm going to be producing this number of ebooks over the next number of weeks or months. Can you give me a 24-hour turnaround? I will say this, when you're writing an ebook, one ebook in 7 days, you need an ebook editor who, when you say, I'm going to get this to you on Sunday morning by 10 a.m., I need it back to me and fully edited by Monday morning at 10 a.m., they can do a 24-hour turnaround. So in that job description, you need to let them know how many books you're going to be writing in your catalog and also that you do need a 24-hour or less turnaround on the editing of the book, because that's how you're going to keep that 7-day timeline. And then, of course, your virtual assistant. And this is your person who's going to promote your book on all of the free and discount websites. So when you put your book on Amazon, Amazon does give you this price simulator that tells you based on word count what they think your book should be priced at. And so, and I will say this, we're talking about writing an 18,000 word count ebook. When you go below 18,000, it does change the price. Typically an 18,000 word count book is about $4.99 according to the Amazon simulator. If it is even 16,000, it brings it down to like $3.99 or $2.99. So being at least 18,000 words is a very key component to this. But you need a VA who you're going to collate all of these sites, 100 sites that they could post to on your behalf. You're going to create an Excel document where you give them the name of the site, the web address for the site, when to post, and what blurb to post when they do, so that when your book is up on Amazon and you're either putting it as free for 5 days or you're doing it at 99 cents for the launch, you can just hire that virtual assistant. You can pay them on Elance. It's anywhere from $20 to $50. Most of the virtual assistants who've sent me proposals, the good ones, are talking about $54. So again, you want somebody who's going to promote your book on all the sites. And then the 3 key resources that you're going to want are going to be email marketing, opt-in page, and website. So I say this again. The reason why you need prep before the actual 7 days is because those 3 key resources, so like Aweber or MailChimp or Constant Contact, that's email marketing, you already need to have an account. You already need to create a list or a series of lists that you're going to promote throughout your ebook. Email marketing has to be done. Your opt-in pages. I use Lead Pages. I'm sure there are many other providers where you can have a membership and create opt-in pages. When you write your ebook, you're going to, throughout the ebook, say, if you would like this free report, or if you would like this free audio based on the content of this book, click here and give me your name and email address, and I'll send you that free lead magnet. So before you even start writing the ebook, you've got to have some form of email marketing, Aweber, MailChimp, Constant Contact, Infusionsoft, some kind of opt-in page, Lead Pages, or anything else that you use, and a website. Because you want people, you're going to share your website in the very beginning of your book. You want people to know where to go to find out more about you. Now, your book catalog needs to be branded before you start writing. So when you talk about your first ebook catalog, here are some things about creating your ebook catalog. And an ebook catalog is at least 3 books in my mind. It's at least 3. And I would say it would be better if it were more like 10 or 20. And the reason you want an ebook catalog is because, especially on Amazon, when somebody buys one of your books, Amazon remembers that for them. So when they go to look up certain search terms at the bottom of the page, and you've seen this on Amazon, it will say, since you bought this, we recommend that you look at this, 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 and this. If you have 10 books as part of your catalog, and they're all aligning in terms of topic and content, then when the person buys one book from you or even skims one of your books, all of your other books at some point will then appear at the bottom as a recommendation for them. The more books you have, the higher the likelihood that you're going to sell another book. So, and you can also link one book to the other. So in 21 Ways to Make Your Fear Work for You, I actually talk a little bit about from employee to entrepreneur, how to overcome the fear of starting a business. And I actually put a hyperlink into 21 Ways to Make Your Fear Work for You that leads them to from employee to entrepreneur. So again, the more books you have, the more you can interlink each book in other books so that you get more sales. So here are the questions to ask yourself when you create your catalog. What am I known for? What's my expertise? What problems do I help people solve? What are my solutions? How are my solutions different from what's out there? What are the biggest pains, problems that my target readers have right now? And then the research that you need to do is really on the Amazon platform. So how many Kindle books that currently exist that solve these problems? And what are their rankings? When you're choosing a particular topic to talk about. Like before I chose turning fear into fuel as a topic, I went onto Kindle and I looked up overcoming fear, conquering fear, managing fear, dealing with fears, just to see how many books related to that were on Kindle and to make sure that their rankings were 20,000 or under. The rankings on Kindle will tell you on average how many books they're selling. So you want to be sure that whatever topic or brand or catalog content or topic that you choose, that it's in an arena and on a topic where the best-selling books in that arena have a ranking of 20,000 or less. And then you want to know what keywords on the Amazon platform best target these books. So you want to try a lot of keywords to see what makes the books that are your competitors, what makes them come up in Kindle. Now, you also want to find the top 10 titles in your genre. So when you do the keyword search, you want to see what are the 10 best performers for who deal with your topics, who cover relationships or who cover coaching, mentoring. And then you want to look at their titles. Like, why would you buy that book based on that title? What do you like about the title? What do you not like? What's missing? What does the title say to you? How does the title describe the problem the book is going to solve? And then you want to decide before you even start writing the first ebook, how big is your catalog going to be, and start writing the titles. I literally wrote the titles for every single one of my ebooks and subtitles over a cross-country drive from Utah to Arkansas in December. So when I came back from that drive in December, I already knew every single book that I was going to write for 2015. Now, you may not be doing a cross-country drive, but if you literally spend anywhere from 4 to 8 hours of your time, and you can break it up or do it all together, you can sit down and say, okay, what is my catalog niche? What is my topic? What are the books I'm going to write? How many books am I going to produce a month? And then you come up with the titles and the subtitles. They will change. So it's not about making perfect titles and subtitles. I share my titles and subtitles with my writing groups, and I let people give me feedback, and oftentimes the feedback is awesome. So I end up changing those titles, but you at least need to start out with an Excel or a Google sheet where you know, here's my niche. These are the number of books I've committed to completing this year, and here is the name of each of those books, at title and subtitle. Now, let me give an example of a catalog example. Steve Scott. Steve Scott is one of my mentors, and he's an amazing ebook author. He does make over $40,000 a month every single month on Kindle revenue alone, but that's because he's been writing for at least 3 years at this point, and he has over 20 books, like well over 20 books. So when people buy, let's say, Habit Stacking, 97 Small Life Changes That Take 5 Minutes or Less, they then get at the bottom of their screen some of his other books. And so people will see his work, they'll sign up for his email list, and then he will keep in contact with them via email, and he generates a considerable amount of income. But if you notice, all of his books are about habits. So he even has a website called habitbooks.com. Again, he knew what his niche was, habits. He knew what he needed to focus on, and that's what every single book is about, with the exception of a few. Akash Karya is another one. He is somebody who is a professional speaker. He trains other speakers. So guess what all of his books are about? Charisma, presentation skills, giving talks, TED Talk storytelling. His entire brand is driven around this idea of how do you give a good presentation? How do you design a TED Talk? How do you have charisma when you speak? Because that's his expertise. So you want to be sure that you think about your catalog, because you want your catalog to show consistency and to show where your expertise is, and each book should align with the next one. Here's another example, a very small catalog, Jennifer Newcomb Marine. So her focus is on stepmothers. Stepmothers very specifically. Notice I didn't say step families or blended families or step parents. Her focus is on stepmothers. And so if you notice her 2 books, that's what they're about. That's exactly what they're about. So even if you start out with, and everybody does, a small catalog of books, be sure that those 2 books that you have on Amazon, they align well. They let people know immediately what your focus is. So Let's talk about 4 steps to writing amazing ebook titles and subtitles. Step number 1, you need to identify the 20 frequently asked questions that you receive from your target audience. Again, you can go to Yahoo Answers, you can go to Quora.com, you can go to iVillage. I mean, you can go on Twitter and ask questions and just get like a tweeting focus group going and figure out what are the most frequently asked questions that I receive from the people who will be my target reading audience. And then you need to break up those FAQs down into specific problems your target audience needs solved now. That's where we get back to the 10 to 20 problems. So once you think about, well, what are people really concerned about? What are their FAQs? Then you break them down to 10 to 20 problems that this audience needs solved now. Then step number 3 is create ebook titles that reflect the problem and subtitles that provide the solution. So your title should always be, here's a problem. Your subtitle should always be, and here's a solution I'm going to give you by reading this book. So once you have the 20 frequently asked questions, you break them down to 10 to 20 problems, which now become your book topics. Then you create the titles and the subtitles. And then step number 4 is you test out your titles with friends, writing groups, and get help with tweaking the title and the subtitle. So again, test them out with people. See if it resonates. See if there's something better. Because oftentimes when you send them, especially to your writing groups, they'll tell you why they don't like the title you have, and they'll also give you ideas about another title that you could use. So for example, and let's just play this scenario out. Let's say Jane is a therapist. She's a licensed therapist. She specializes in helping women ages 40 to 60 rebuild their lives after going through divorce. And let's also say that Jane herself has been through a pretty messy divorce at the age of 45. And so Jane is now 10 years outside of that divorce. She's 55. Where would we begin with developing Jane's catalog? So we think about Jane's scenario. When you think about it, Jane already has her expertise validated by the fact that she's a licensed therapist. And she's probably, just in getting licensed as a therapist, there's so many requirements that she's probably worked with thousands of clients at this point. So what she could do is, based on her own experience, she could sit down and she could brainstorm herself for 20 FAQs. She could also, if she didn't want to use her past experience to come up with those FAQs, she could go on to websites where women discuss divorce and how they got through it, like iVillage.com or Yahoo Answers or Huffington Post. Huffington Post covers a whole divorce section. And then from all of that research online, she could pull together a list of 20 FAQs based on the most popular discussion posts out there. So she can actually look up different websites that have discussion boards, and she can see the most popular posts and pull her 20 frequently asked questions from that. And then what Jane could do is, if she just wanted more research, she could attend a post-divorce support group for women or attend a local women's group, and she could ask if there are any women ages, 40 to 60 who would be willing to be in a focus group and tell her what their most pressing questions are post-divorce. And then from there, once Jane had the FAQs, she could then go onto Google and start doing Google searches with different keyword combinations to see what comes up on the first and second page of Google rankings. So when you do Google search, people look at page 1 and page 2. You lose them after page 2. And so when you're doing this kind of research, you want to make sure that you see what keyword combinations produce the best results for pages 1 and 2 of Google search. And so based on what comes up on the first and second pages of Google, now you can start to create your titles and subtitles, making sure that you've got those keywords from that you use to get those results on page 1 and 2 of Google. Now remember, the formula for title and subtitle is title identifies the problem, subtitle provides the solution. If you just remember that, title identifies the problem, subtitle provides the solution. And then Jane would then go and share her titles and her subtitles and get feedback. So let's talk real quick on the top 3 ways to monetize your Kindle books. As we've talked about, okay, now we're at the stage where we've got our catalog niche. We know what our focus is, our core message with the ebooks. We know how many books we want in our catalog. We have titles and subtitles for each of them. We know how many ebooks we want to produce in the year. But again, if we do want to come back to monetization. So there are three ways that you can monetize those ebooks. Number one is going to be content upgrade. So there are opt-in links throughout your ebook that get people onto your email list. And from your email list, you can start to build a relationship with them, to offer them extraordinary value, and then to ask them to join you for a course, a program. That's called a content upgrade. Ebooks are also a PR media builder. So with your ebooks, you can now establish your expertise. And so you can pitch yourself to go on the Today Show. You can pitch yourself to go on CNN. When they start looking for people, they do look for authors a lot of the time. So now that's a PR media builder. And one of the ways that a lot of ebook authors, when they first start out, they don't think about building in revenue is new client work. So throughout your book, you can give case studies and examples of where you've worked with clients. And in the beginning, middle, and end of your book, you can say, if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, here's my website or here's my email address. And that also will build new client work. So again, the best strategies that you can use to monetize, whether you're doing a content upgrade or you want to build up your PR and media buzz or new client work, is number one, you've got to make sure that your Amazon author profile is updated, it's synced, and it's good. The second thing is you want to put your Amazon author profile in your email signature. So every email account that you have that is yours, you want to make sure that there's a link that says, check out my latest book on Amazon. Boom, the link to your Amazon author profile. Opt-in pages will help you do this. Blogger reviews. Get bloggers in your niche or industry to review your books. Guest blog posting is huge. Constable, who does really well with revenue on Kindle, he had zero books sold the first year. And he started to do guest blog posts and submit guest blog posts. And that's when his Kindle revenue started to build. Podcast interviews and promos. Go on people's podcasts if they're tied to your industry and your niche, and do an interview with them and promote your latest book. Live speaking events still work. Going to communities, Google Plus communities are huge. And then early adopters, people who are following you from the very beginning of the writing process. So let's talk about the ebook beat sheet. So I sent you that worksheet that really is 4, 5, 6 pages. And so the ebook beat sheet really is about, how do you tell the story in a structured, consistent way? Where do you insert the different things that need to be inserted? So when you think about it, whether you're writing a nonfiction, a fiction, a self-help book, great stories always involve a hero facing immense odds, filled with obstacles and villains and they choose to go through the journey. The one thing I learned in screenwriting is that you cannot create a hero or protagonist who ends up on a tough journey. They have to actually, at a very particular scene in the beginning of the script, they actually have to say or show that they're choosing to go on the journey, no matter what comes after it. Same thing applies when we write ebooks. There has got to be a choice that your reader's going to make, i.e. they buy the book to read the book and go on the journey with you. So no matter what the genre is, when somebody buys your book, what they've done is they've signed up for the journey, so they have to be taken through the journey. So the ebook beat sheet breaks down every component of your ebook. Let's look at it. So again, every component of your ebook is very strategic. There is nothing in an ebook that isn't placed there for a very specific reason. Your cover page has the title of your ebook, and it has your 2 to 3 websites where people can find out more about you. Again, strategic. You have to decide what 2 to 3 websites you're going to send them to. If you have 10 websites, you need to be sure that whatever websites you're sending them to really relate to the topic of that book. So on the cover page, your 2 to 3 websites are listed underneath your name, underneath the title. Your copyright page is the proof that your book is copywritten, but it's also another thing. Your copyright page is also your disclaimer, especially when you're talking about anything that borders on the lines of therapy or coaching or fitness. You need to say on that copyright page that anybody who uses any of the information within the book are doing so at their own accord. They should check with a physician or a therapist before doing it if they have any concerns, that everything in your book is your opinion and you are not claiming to be a physician, a psychiatrist, any of that. Your copyright page is where you put all of that disclaimer information, that legal protect your butt information is on the copyright page. It's got to be there every single book. Then comes your table of contents, and this just lists out everything, the chapters, the introduction. Now here's where we get super strategic, okay? Because ebooks are not only tools of transformation for everyone who reads your ebook, but they're also marketing, sales, and promotion opportunities for you as an entrepreneur. You begin with something called your 3 gifts, or you could call it your 2 gifts, or you could call it your free gift if it's just one. But that page right after the table of contents, it should always be right after the table of contents. It is your lead generator. It's where you say, thank you so much for purchasing this ebook. I'm so excited to have you read it. Just in case you're looking for more information, you can download my free copy of ... at this link, and you include the link, and you say it 2 times on that page if you've only got 1 gift. If you have 3 gifts, then you just present each of those 3 gifts at the same time. After you do your 3 gifts page, then you go to your introduction, and your introduction is just going over where the idea for the book came from, a little overview of the history of the topic and why it's so important to people, and then going into maybe a little bit of your background and what your interest is and what you hope they get out of the book. That's the introduction. It shouldn't be that long. And then chapter 1 is what I call the before. So chapter 1 is where you literally, go over kind of where is your reader right now? Chapter 1 is where you get to the pain. So every ebook is about a problem, but chapter 1 is where you cover the pain. Like, this is the problem. This is where you are. This is why it sucks. This is what you're losing because you still have this problem and it's not being solved. Chapter 1 covers the before and gives a little sneak peek into the solution. Chapter 2 deep dives further into the cause of the before. So chapter 2 really gets into why the problem exists for your reader. What are the issues that surround this problem? Why most people aren't able to effectively deal with this problem? And it just dives into the history and the causes a little bit further. Chapter 3 talks about, well, what are the key strategies, tips, tools, and techniques that you need to have in place so that the solution we're about to talk about you can totally use starting right now. So it lays the foundation for what are the prerequisites, what are the things you need to keep in mind, what are the mindset shifts that you need to make, what are the things that need to be there right now before we go dive into the solution. Chapters 4 and 5 actually cover the solution. So you want to take 2 whole chapters because this is what you've promised you're going to solve for people. So 2 whole chapters really need to cover, here's how you solve the problem that you bought this book to solve. Here's how you solve it. And then chapter 6 is what's next. So, and you really do write at the top of it, what's next. Because people might read your solution chapters and they might go, this is great, I'm going to try it, I'm going to, but how can I learn more? How can I do more? And the solution and what's next is where you say, okay, join me on my website or join me on Instagram and Twitter or sign up for this list and get a more extensive worksheet on how to do this or listen to an audio that you can download. You always have the what's next chapter. It is a lead generator. And then again, you have another part that's not a chapter. You just put, would you like to learn more at the top? And that is another lead generator, just like your 3 gifts. So again, you say to them, please stay connected with me, continue to learn with me, sign up for this list, and you give them the link. And then the final piece is, did you like this book? So one of the things you ask at the very end is, if you like this book, could you please write a book review on Amazon for me? Here's the link to where you can write the book review. And the link that you give them should take them directly to the spot where they can just write a review. It should be easy peasy. Now let's talk about the 7-day writing timeline. And there's some key points to keep in mind. This 7-day timeline is strict and unforgiving. It just is. There's so much that has to happen before it begins that you cannot miss a beat of this 7 days. It's just strict, it's unforgiving, so you got to be ready for it, which is why I said spend the first 7 days doing all of the before stuff so everything's in play. You can expect that if you're going to write an 18,000 word ebook, and let me just say 18,000 is important because if you were going to write a 250,000 word book, well, first of all, we have to think about our readers in general. The younger our readers get, the millennials, the Gen Ys, the Gen Zs coming up who are now 10 and 12 years old, in 10 years they'll be reading our books. They have a shorter span of focus. They don't want to read a 250,000 word book. They want to Netflix binge everything. So at the end of the day, when you think about writing for your audience, you need to remember that you want your books to still be read 10 years from now, still be read 15 years from now. If our attention span is getting shorter, if we can't create YouTube videos that are longer than 3 minutes because nobody watches videos longer than 3 minutes, then you've got to think it from an ebook writing perspective that you want a book that is long enough to cover a very specific problem and fully provide the solutions for that specific problem. But rather than writing a huge book that covers 10 problems, write a bunch of smaller books that cover each problem thoroughly and separately. That's why 18,000 is a great word count. And it also allows you to write 18,000 words without spending 8 hours a day on it in 7 days. If you want to write a little bit longer of a book, I'd say go no more to 24,000 words. When you start to get to 40 and 50,000 words, it's going to take you longer than 7 days to write the book. So just know this 7-day writing timeline is really for a book that is somewhere between 18,000 words and 24,000 words. Above that, it's really going to take longer than 7 days. Okay. So with this 7-day writing timeline, you can expect to be working on your ebook for 1 to 4 hours a day. So just know that you've got to carve out 1 to 4 hours. Literally 3,000 words a day takes me anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half to write. Just getting to the computer, popping open Microsoft Word, plunking down and writing 1,500 to, writing 3,000 words takes me an hour to an hour and a half. Sometimes 2 if I'm feeling a little stuck, but usually not. So again, you need 1 to 4 hours a day on this timeline. You have to follow this to a T in order for it to work. And your team, your graphic designer, your editor, and your VA needs to know the timeline well in advance. I'm always 3 book covers ahead with my graphic designer. So the book cover that he's starting on this week for me, I'm probably not going to write that book for, I'd say, at least a month. So you want to be ahead because let me just talk about graphic design for a minute. There's a lot of back and forth that goes with your graphic designer. Even if you have a not so great graphic designer, you're going to do a lot of back and forth. My designer is really awesome. He knows what he's doing. He's referred to me by Steve Scott. So he and I have less back and forth, but we still exchange emails for about 4 to 5 days before we come up with a final version that both of us like for the ebook cover. So because you just have to think about, you have to, first of all, hire the graphic designer. You have to get them the iStock photos that you want to use for the cover. And then they've got to do the first draft of it, send it to you. You've got to approve it or send it back to them with revision notes. That going back and forth on revisions and second drafts and third drafts takes a good 3 to 4 days when the graphic designer is awesome. It takes longer when they're not. And then again, with your editor, you want an editor who knows you've got a 24-hour turnaround. It may take you a little time to find the right person who can do it in 24 hours or less. And then your VA is pretty straightforward. I mean, you're the one who develops the spreadsheet with 100 places where they're going to post it. You give them the blurb of what they're going to post. It's not going to take a long time. It's very straightforward. There's not really a lot of question asking. You pay them, you send them the Excel document, they do what they need to do. And again, my rule of thumb is always be 3 book covers ahead of the book that you're writing this week if you want to do the 7-day timeline. So let's talk about, and let's see, the 7-day timeline, and I'm going to open up something else because I kind of want you to see what it looks like on the actual sheet. So I'm going to open this up here. Okay. So when we look at the 7-day timeline, let's just go right here. Here is the worksheet that I emailed out this morning. So before you even begin the 7 days, number 1, The prerequisites, like the pre-work that you have to do, can take anywhere from an entire weekend to 2 to 4 weeks to do. So before you start your 7-day process, remember, you've got to do this part first. You've got to have your graphic designer, your editor, and your VA on board. You need the iStock photos. So I get all of my cover images from iStockphoto.com. There are many places you could get your images from. So look around. But you have to purchase your photo if you're purchasing it, or if you're taking the photo yourself, you've got to make sure it's high resolution. But you've got to get the photo that you're going to use for the cover design. And sometimes you might ask friends like which photo they like better. That takes time. So that's got to be done. You need the titles and the subtitles and the overall book catalog created before you start the 7-day writing process. You need to know what launch dates you're going to use for each of the ebooks in your catalog and which ones come first and why. So they've got to all align. You've got to know why. And then you've got to have your opt-in pages created. So one of the most challenging things I found in the beginning was that writing the ebook in 7 days, writing 18,000 words was easy. And then I figured out, oh my goodness, I'm supposed to give a freebie away, like 3 of them, with your 3 free gifts. And I didn't have any freebies created. And I was like, oh my goodness. So it took me hours to create a free audio or a free worksheet or a free something, and then create the opt-in page and then create the email list. So there's a lot that goes into the opt-in page piece that you're going to feature in every single ebook. So I want you to understand, and I'm going to show you something before we finish. I'm going to show you my document that I use before we finish this webinar, because the opt-in page thing is very, 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 very time consuming. It's super time consuming. So you want to make sure that you have the email marketing, the email lists, the lead magnet or the freebie that you're giving away, and the opt-in pages created, and you know which opt-in pages are going to, and which lists are going to go with which ebook that you're writing. That takes some time. So once you've done all of that before day 1 stuff, now you need to go to, okay, on day 1, you're going to write your book outline based on the ebook beat sheet, and you're going to jot key points that you want to be sure are covered in each chapter, and you're going to write 3,000 words that day. So day 1 might be a day that actually does take you 4 hours because you've got to do both. Outline, 3,000 words. Days 2 through 6, your only focus is writing 3,000 words a day. And then day 7 is another what might be a 4-hour day, because you're going to make any final edits that you need to the book. You're going to make sure that all the hyperlinks or the links that you put within the book to your website, to your opt-in pages, they all work. And you're going to send it to your editor, hopefully earlier rather than later. I would suggest day 7 be an early morning writing day if you're a morning person, so that by noon you have it sent to your editor, and your editor literally has from noon until the next morning to get you the final edited version. And be sure that your ebook editor knows when you expect to get at least the next 3 ebooks to him or her. So they're expecting it, they've cleared their decks, they're ready for it, there's no delays on the editor's part. Because if the editor delays and takes longer than that less than 24-hour turnaround, it throws off your ability to post the book on Amazon on day 8. And then day 8, all you're doing, because you wrote the book in 7 days, on day 8, the only thing you're doing is receiving the final edited version from the book editor, putting that final edited book, going to the Library of Congress website and doing your copyright thing, paying your $35 to have it copywritten, and then you're just going to load it on Amazon. Other thing is, if you haven't set up your Amazon account as an author and joined KDP, make sure you do that before you begin the 7-day writing process, because that takes a little bit of time. So all of those things are things that you want to consider. Now let's talk about the ebook description breakdown, because remember something about the ebook description on Amazon. It sells the book. So you have to be as conscientious about writing the ebook description as you are about writing the book. And there are 4 parts to any ebook description. There's the solution, so what your reader will discover or learn. There's the transformation, what will change immediately as a result of reading the book. There's the action, so you should say at a certain point in your ebook description, download, and put the name of your book so they know exactly what action you want them to take. And then you should further up that action by putting, would you like to learn more? And say, download the book, click buy. You have to be blatant about what you want your potential readers to do. So you do the call of action twice, at the action and would you like to learn more. So, and I just want to show you an example of that so that you see, and I'm going to show you Steve Scott. So I told you about Steve Scott, and he really, if you look at it here, Steve Scott has many, many books, okay? So many, many books. You can just go through them and you can see that he has tons of books. So if you go to one of his books, let's go to Wake Up Successful. And so if you open it up, let's look at his book description for a minute there. So we look at his book description, and I want to see, and notice he has 157 customer reviews. That's completely awesome. So I want to look at his book description. Here is his book description. So notice that he covers all 4 steps. The first thing he does is he puts discover. Why successful people get more things done before 9 a.m. Then he says start today. Live each day like it's your last. And then he says download. So he gives a specific call to action. Download. Wake up successful, how to increase your energy and achieve any goal with a morning routine. And then if you go further down at the end, here's what he says. Would you like to know more? Download now and begin each day ready to attack the world. Scroll to the top of the page and select the buy button. He couldn't be more overt. Like he's laying it out. He's giving you a call to action. He's giving you the key things you're going to learn, you're going to take away, follow the 8 strategies, achieve any goal with an hour of power. He does all of that. And then at the end, he says, scroll to the top of the page and select the buy now button. And what we talked about before, notice that he said customers, this is why Amazon's so powerful. Their search engine capability is awesome. So customers who bought this item also bought, and look, how many of these books, again, are from S.J. Scott? All of them. So the more ebooks you write, the more your ebooks are going to get noticed, because when somebody buys even one of your ebooks, the next time they look again, here will come even more of your ebooks. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Now, keep this in mind. All of these things that I'm providing you for, there's a lot of details here, right? So it's easy to get lost in all of the details of what it takes to write an ebook in 7 days. But if you want to build solid revenue from branding with ebooks, you have to remember one thing. Clarity is king. There are 5 key decisions that you need to make about your ebooks before you write them. Here are the 5 key decisions that you need to make. Number 1, your niche. So what is going to be, for Steve Scott, it is habits, developing good habits. For me, it's turning fear into fuel. You've got to decide what your niche is. You've also got to decide what are the number of books that are going to be in your catalog. It's okay to say 3. It's okay to say 5. It's okay to say 10. You just need to commit to the number of books that are going to be in the catalog so you can develop both your writing timeline and then all of their titles and subtitles and how they all fit together. And then you need to decide, okay, how often am I going to write books? How many books am I going to produce a month? When am I going to actually publish them? Because you could write books and just keep them in Microsoft Word, and I do that, and decide when I'm actually going to release them. The release date would be different from the completion date of the manuscript. And then your catalog titles, subtitles, and descriptions. So what will the titles be? What will the subtitles be? What will the descriptions be? And then your Kindle branding strategy. And here's what's tricky about that. There are tons of great online training programs out there that are dedicated to helping you launch your ebook, promote your ebook, hit the bestseller list with Kindle books. There's Nick Stevenson's Your First 10K Readers, awesome program. Tom Mork's Publishing Empire, awesome program. I think there's also something called selfpublishingschool.com, another really great one. And also Steve Scott is going to have an upcoming course. So there's all of these programs out there that are really teaching you how to launch your book to bestseller status on Amazon, how to hit the bestseller list, how to get the most free downloads possible. And they're out there. But if you don't have a solid focus on your niche, your timeline, and your catalog of ebooks, you're going to get lost in those courses. So you can learn how to launch your books well, but if you didn't choose the right niche, if you didn't choose the right core message, if all of your books in your catalog don't align well to the others, you're going to have done all of that work for nothing. And so when I've asked people, what's your biggest challenge to writing your ebook? And I want you to think about this for yourself. What's your biggest challenge to writing your ebook? What is it? Like when you think about, let's just even get out of the 7-day focus. Like, what is it that's keeping you from really, really writing the ebook? Like, what's keeping you from doing that? You know? And I want you to just think about that for a second. So let's see if we can open that up. Oh, thank you, Daniela. Wonderful. I'd love to hear from you. But what are your questions? I mean, what is the thing that's keeping you from really writing the next ebook? Maybe you've already written one. What's keeping you from doing that? See, that's the thing you've got to think about, because whatever that is, and I'm a fear to fuel expert, and I write books about overcoming fear. I always say it has something to do with fear. But when you think about the biggest challenge, um, it really is about, how do I really do this thing? Like, yes, I know it's possible to write one ebook in 7 days, but how do I really do this? And so I would say, so often we focus on the how and not the now, and then we get lost in the how and we procrastinate the now, and then 9 months pass and we haven't done a thing. So what we've got to do is put first things first. And I'm going to introduce you to the ebook branding VIP program. And this is unlike any of the other programs that I just talked about, because it's not about how do you get on the Amazon bestseller list. It's not about what do you do to have a great launch for your book, because if you didn't do the branding piece first, you're wasting your time with the launch. And so the ebook branding VIP program is about massively growing your business brand with ebooks. And the 12-week course actually begins July 6th. So you've got time to enroll. It starts July 6th. Let's go over this 12-week course and what you're going to do over the next 12 weeks. Starting July 6th, first module, first week is module 1, brand vision. So I've talked to you about how do you write an ebook in 7 days. But before you ever write the first ebook or the second or the third or the 10th, you need a brand vision. You have to create your brand vision and align your ebook strategy to that vision, which means quite a few things. Number one, you have to identify the 3 words that capture your USP, your unique selling proposition. Yes, it's a sales term, but you're an author, you're an entrepreneur. You've got to be all about getting your message out into the world. So in module 1 or week 1, we get down to the USP, and we use the live training call to do that. So on the live training call, I actually coach each of my students, and we go around the room and we develop those 3 words. We also choose a tagline that captures your brand. We learn how to deliver brand consistency while delivering content variety. So again, I talked about this in terms of the brand catalog. So brand consistency is, does every single book that I'm about to create and write, does it capture what I offer? Does it capture the solutions to the problems that my target audience has? Does it capture my 3 words, my unique selling proposition? Does it do all of that for me? And then learning how to deliver brand consistency, but also keeping the books very variety filled. So every book is going to be different because every book is going to capture a different problem, but they all should connect to your brand, your business, what you do, and your expertise. They should reach the client where they are, but in many different ways because they're each specific to a problem and a specific solution. And then module 1, we're going to create your target audience backstory, identify their core problems, and craft brand-driven solutions. Now, in module 2, week 2, we're actually going to develop your ebook catalog. So I've talked to you today about a number of things that you need to consider when developing your ebook catalog. But in module 2 or week 2, we're actually going to get super clear on the difference between a high-performing ebook catalog and a low-performing ebook ensemble. This is where we're going to bring some of our experts who've created massively successful ebook catalogs to jump in on the conversation and share with the group, how do you know the difference when you're creating it between what's going to be high performing and low performing? We're going to, in week 2, determine your ebook niche and create a catalog of books that are going to be timeless. So a lot of people write books that are only relevant for the next 1 or 2 years. And then they wonder why the book isn't selling in 3 to 5 years. it doesn't matter what your industry is, you want to write books that solve timeless problems with timeless solutions. So 15 years from now, you're still generating revenue from that ebook because the problems and the solutions fit. The only place where that is not going to be true is if you're writing books about the internet or you're writing books about anything that is technology based, computers, hardware, software, that's constantly going to change, so you don't expect a long shelf life. But anything else, you want it to be timeless content. Then in week 2, we're also going to write persuasive solution-focused titles and subtitles. We're going to test them out and we're going to go through them and create them. And you're going to develop your writing timeline specific to what your goals are for that year in publishing. And then we're going to put together your ebook development team and pull together your ebook resources. Literally in module 2, it's going to be in hyperdrive. You're going to find your graphic designer. You're going to find your VA. We're going to test them out. We're going to go through references. Like by the end of that week, your team is going to already be assembled. And then we're going to, through interviews with guests already in the industry, we're going to learn the secrets of high selling ebook descriptions. And then we're going to apply the 7 habits of highly successful ebook authors so that you can stick to your writing timeline. Now in module 3, it's one of my favorites. We're going to build the Kindle team. So it's not enough to hire the right people. So your graphic designer, your VA, your book editor, how they work together is critical. So we're going to talk about not only you've already recruited them, but how do you get everybody to be on the same page? What tools do you use to manage all of that and to allow people to in real time speak to each other so that the response time is very, very fast? We're going to talk about delegation and managing and leading your Kindle team. And we're also going to talk about the best places to get both paid and unpaid help in addition to those first 3 people who need to be on the team. And then we're going to talk about the software tools that you would use to manage and build your Kindle team, namely Basecamp, Evernote, and Toggle, and how all 3 of them really work well together. And then in module 4, week 4, we're going to go over cover design and editing. So discover the 7 ingredients to a great ebook cover. I'm going to talk about how you know in the very beginning whether this is the right cover designer for you, and what do you do when you figure out you have a bad cover designer. We're going to talk about the difference between bad, good, and great ebook cover design, the difference between using real pictures and vector images, which there is a difference. We're going to talk about, maybe you're on a very tight budget for one of your books and you have to create it yourself. We're going to learn in that week how to use PowerPoint and Canva to create a good ebook cover. I won't say fabulous because a designer can always do a better job, but how to really, if you have to, how to get your book out there anyway and create a good cover using PowerPoint and Canva. You're going to learn that in module 4. And then we're also going to go over specifically, and you're going to create in week 4 an additional cover designer job description so that whenever you need a new cover designer, you already have it ready to go and you can hire somebody else if you need to. And then I'm going to give you the 5 signs that the designer you've chosen isn't a good fit for your books, because there are signs. I've worked with different designers. I'm so happy I have the one that I have now. But I will say there are signs that it's not going to work out, and it's better to fire people early than late. And then we're also going to talk about in module 4 how to become super efficient at setting up cover design jobs so that you have the final cover design weeks before you actually need it. In week 5, we're going to cover brand recognition. So you're going to learn in week 5 the 5 practices that you need to follow in creating your ebook catalog to guarantee that your ebooks build your business brand. When I say build your business brand, I mean your ebooks are paving the way for building your email list, for content upgrades, for getting one-on-one client work, for exposing you to the media so you can get called to be on the Today Show and called to be on CNN and all of that kind of stuff. You can use your ebooks to build your business brand. So you're going to learn the 5 practices that you need to follow in creating your ebook catalog to guarantee that that happens. We're also going to talk about we're going to figure out the 3 distinctions of your brand and how you can infuse every ebook with those distinctions. And then in week 5, you're going to learn how to develop your author's story and make that story compelling, persuasive, and deeply connected to your business brand. And then we're going to, you're going to discover the one thing you need to say in every ebook to deliver your brand message consistently, completely, and with total conviction. And then finally, in week 5, you're going to create a moving message that serves your tribe and impacts your target audience utilizing the 5 core messages. Now, module 6, one of my favorites, pricing and revenue. I love to talk money. You're going to learn in week 6 the pros and cons of using Amazon's pricing software to price your ebook. So Amazon will run you through a program and they will tell you what they think the book should be charged at. But you can choose your own price, higher or lower than it. So we'll talk about the pros and cons of whether you should use Amazon's pricing software or price it at your own price point. We're also going to talk about how to develop your unique pricing strategy and pricing timelines for every ebook in your ebook catalog before you've even written the first one. So there are times when you need to change, lower, or raise the price of your ebook depending on where you are with launch. And we're going to talk about how to develop that unique pricing strategy for all of the books in your ebook catalog. In week 6, we're going to develop a revenue projection for your first 3 ebooks, and we're going to identify content upgrade upsell opportunities for each of your ebooks and learn how to map out and project upsell revenue. So what you're going to do in this week, especially in live Q&A, we're going to develop the different streams of revenue that are going to come out of every single ebook in your catalog, which means, and the way that I do it for mine is I have 3 streams of revenue or content upgrades that are possible from each of my ebooks, and they all belong to different lists. So if it's one online training product, then that's one email list. If it's another one, it's another email list. It can get really complicated. So in week 6, we're going to streamline how to do that and how to set the upsells up in your book efficiently, effectively, and easily. And then in week 6, you're going to learn how to perform a profit cost analysis for your ebook and upsell revenue to ensure that you're making money, not losing it. This is where the MBA in me comes out because I have an MBA and I'm all about the numbers. And so here I'm going to give you some easy, effective spreadsheets that you can use to do what we call a profit loss analysis, PLA. Module 7, week 7, marketing and promotion. So you're going to learn how to create opt-in pages with super effective call to actions and simple, clear next steps. And you're going to learn an efficient system for managing your opt-ins, email list building, and ebook lead magnets using one document and in 10 minutes a day. Like opt-ins took me forever until I developed this system. So now that I have the system, it's so much easier to do the lead magnet, the opt-in page, all of that. And I'm going to teach you how to do that in Module 7. It will save you tons of time. And then we're also going to talk in Module 7 about how to use Pinterest to laser target your audience and sell more ebooks. Pinterest, I call Pinterest a sleeping giant. Because lots of people are on Pinterest, but they never think about how to really leverage it from an entrepreneur's perspective. And a lot of authors do not use Pinterest as well as they could for their books. So we're going to talk about that. We have a special Pinterest bonus course in this program. So awesome. And then we're also in Module 7 going to use a list of 100 plus free promo sites to generate huge download numbers during your ebook launch. I already have the list. It's in an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to talk about how to use it in Module 7. That way you don't have to spend the hours and hours of research that I did coming up with the list. You'll already have access to it. And then where to find face-to-face opportunities to market and promote your ebooks. There are so many places to speak. So many groups. People just don't even know. There are so many ways to do face-to-face opportunities, and I'm a big believer in do face-to-face opportunities wherever you are. So we're going to talk about how to do that efficiently. And then in Module 7, we're also going to talk about how to create, manage, and execute an online book tour. A lot of people don't do online book tours because they feel like it doesn't get good results. We're going to talk about how by doing the online book tour, you actually create content that's recorded that you could use for your email list, you could use for press interviews. So we're not just talking about doing a live online like blog book tour. I'm talking about a multimedia online book tour and how even if the book tour doesn't get you the results you're looking for, you've created content that you can use for book trailers and so many other things. We're going to talk about step by step how to actually do that in Module 7. Module 8 is content creation. So as I said before, you've got to create additional content that promotes your ebooks. So you're going to, in Module 8, learn the 7 powerhouse content types and which fit your ebook genre, because not every powerhouse content type is for the genre of ebook that you're writing. So you need to choose the 2 or 3 that best fit. And then we're going to also develop a content creation calendar and schedule that you can stick to for creating the content that markets your ebook. So you have a writing calendar, but we're also going to have a content creation calendar. Now, we're also in week 8, you're going to apply the 7 laws of guest posting leadership and learn how to write and submit at least 10 guest posts a week while you're writing your ebook. Sounds crazy, right? I know. There is a way to efficiently do it. Now, Commodity Constable taught me one way, but there are a few other ways to do that. And I want to give you options so that you can still be writing your 1 ebook a week, but creating massive content without having to give up major amounts of time. And then module 8, we're also going to talk about whether you should start a podcast or be a guest on a numerous podcasts. And I've started a podcast and I'm starting another one. So I can tell you that it's a lot of work to do a podcast. But there are certain criteria that you need to look at to decide whether for your genre, a podcast starting your own is absolutely necessary, or is being a guest on a number of other ones the way to go. I'll show you the decision matrix that will help you figure out which route is actually best for you. Now, module 9, social media strategy. So I created a worksheet that it really is a checklist of all the things that you need to be sure are cleaned up on every social media platform. Almost everybody. I don't have Snapchat on there. Social media cleanup. We have to do it. Like the branding has got to be consistent on Twitter, on Facebook, your email signature, Instagram, YouTube, Google Plus. So what we're going to do in module 9 is we're going to do a social media cleanup of your top 10 social media platforms. We're going to walk through of the only 2 social media checklists you need and how to make connecting on social media fun, profitable, and less time consuming. Because, I can go on Facebook for 5 minutes and still be there 45 minutes later. The suck time of Facebook, I just can never understand it. But I'm saying what we're going to do in module 9 is figure out how to be super efficient, but also super connected when we do social media as authors. And then you're also going to learn how to build your tribe using genuine interest, connection, and relationship building on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. You're going to learn how to deeply connect with others on social media without being salesy or feeling scummy or experiencing energy drain. And you know what? Here's the thing about this way of doing it. It feels so good. It feel like when you connect on social media in a genuine and real way because you want to give and you want to serve, like you get so much more than when you're doing it to market and to promote. It's just so deeply fulfilling. And so we're gonna practice that in module 9, week 9. And then you're also going to have in week 9 video tutorials to optimize your profiles on LinkedIn, Google Plus, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and your About Me and all of that. The video tutorials are going to be things that you can watch on your own time, anytime, day or night, over and over again. And these are screen flows where I walk you through how I do all of these and change all of these. And you can walk through at the same time that you're watching these video tutorials and just make the changes. It's a video walkthrough, super easy, much better than Googling how to do it and watching tons of YouTube videos that don't really walk you through or walk you through way too fast on how to do it. So you will get those video tutorials. In week 10, module 10, we're going to talk about book launches and bestsellers. So we're going to talk about the 5 different launch approaches and how to decide which launch approach is right for you. And then we're going to talk about how do you create a low to no budget, awesome book trailer in 30 minutes or less. My 11-year-old son he was part of a movie maker club, and he learned how to do these awesome cartoon animations, get this, on his tablet. I mean, like moving animations. And I'm going to show you how to do some because my little 11-year-old, who's my miracle baby because he came after 4 years of secondary fertility, naturally, I'm going to show you how to do some of those things on a tablet. I know, right? Weird. But in 30 minutes or less. And then I'm going to talk about what it takes to get your Amazon book to bestseller status and determine if that's really the best goal for your brand. Not always, I mean, look, there are lots of ways to get to bestseller status, and a lot of them are free by free downloads of books. If you're trying to make money, I don't know how having bestseller status is really going to be awesome. But we'll talk about all of that and how to do it and give you the steps, and you can go do that. And we can also talk about whether that really is the goal for your brand that you need to be focused on. So we'll talk about that in module 10. And then we're also going to, in Module 10, Week 10, uncover the secrets to sustain sales for every ebook in your catalog. And then we're going to pick your book differentiation strategy and build a launch schedule based on your decision. So as I said before, I write one book every 7 days, but I don't put them on Amazon every single week. It's part of my launch schedule is very different than my writing schedule. So we're going to actually in week 10 pick your book differentiation strategy and build a launch schedule based on your decision. Now in module 11, we're going to grow your tribe. Week 11, we're going to talk about how to authentically connect with and create a tribe that will grow with your brand, that will follow you, that will listen to what you have to say, that's waiting for your next email. We're going to learn how to get the most connection in the least amount of time on social media stuff like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, love Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. And we're going to learn how to produce top-notch YouTube videos using your smartphone and a lapel mic. Like, you don't need that $2,500 camera, which is cute and nice and really great if you can afford it, but you don't need that. You need a smartphone and a lapel mic, and we're going to talk about how to shoot these quick, amazing videos. And then we're also I'm not only going to cover YouTube, I'm going to cover Vine, because Vine is an awesome way authors can promote their work, but you got to know how to use it. So we're going to discover the power of Vine and 6-second videos and how you can build your brand using Vine. And then we're going to talk about how to use the power of LinkedIn groups to grow your tribe and attract new customers. You have no idea. It doesn't matter what you write about. LinkedIn groups are amazingly powerful. I have had people request to connect with me on LinkedIn simply because of a post or question that I put into a LinkedIn group. It's powerful. I had somebody from the Huffington Post feature me when I was a women breadwinners coach simply because I put a question in a LinkedIn group. So LinkedIn is powerful, and specifically LinkedIn groups. So we'll talk about that. Then in week 12, planning your brand's future. In week 12, you're going to learn how to select the book titles, topics, and descriptions that will grow your business brand. You will identify your 2, 5, and 10-year branding goals and infuse your current ebooks with a consistent branding message. And yes, I did say 2, 5, and 10 years. Listen, we overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, says Tony Robbins, and we underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. And 10 years comes faster than you think, because to me, it was a second ago and I was 27, and it's now been a second and I'm 37, and I have an adult as a child, and I'm trying to have more children. So I'm just saying, yes, we're going to do long-term goals. I know some people fear it. Do not fear it. We are going to have an adventure. We're going to have fun. We're going to create these 10-year goals. It's going to be awesome and amazing. In Module 12, we're also going to discover how to build in room for brand flexibility within each ebook. So if you notice, all of my books are focused on turning fear into fuel, because I wanted to be known as a fear to fuel expert. And that's still what I want to be known for. But as an ebook branding strategist, that doesn't necessarily directly connect to being an ebook branding strategist. So I'm going to talk to you about in module 12, and we're going to learn how do you build in some room for brand flexibility within each ebook. So if you do change the direction of your practice or your business or your direction in the future, there's some overlapping and some flexibility and some room for you to show up differently as an entrepreneur over time. And then in week 12, we're going to create a long-term vision for your brand and make 10 key decisions about how this vision will be expressed in every single ebook. Now, you do get bonuses. So with this program, you're going to get several bonus courses. Number 1, the Powerhouse Guide to Writing an Amazing Ebook in 7 days or less. So you see what we covered today? In that particular course, it's not just the worksheets and the strategies. It's the motivation, the momentum, the inspiration. You get audios from me. You get videos from me. It is a powerhouse course that gives you the structure of what I've given you today, plus the inspiration, motivation, and momentum building that you need to stay the course, especially when obstacles get in your way. You're also going to get as a bonus the Pinterest Master Class. So this course is going to teach expert level Pinterest techniques that can maximize brand exposure and recognition on Pinterest. We're going to go through step by step in the Pinterest Master Class on how to create info charts using PictoChart. We're going to go through step by step how to use Canva. We're going to go through, there's a lot in that class about how we can use Pinterest for everything related to our books. You're also going to have the bonus course Podcasting Bootcamp. So this is a quick, efficient course that is going to teach you how to quickly set up an iTunes podcast and build a listening audience for your business and your brand. Step-by-step video tutorials, audio motivation. Because let me tell you what, there's a lot on the back end of podcasting. I do She Runs the Show, typically 2 to 3 episodes a week. And it is the post edit. It's a lot to it. This bootcamp is going to walk you through video and audio tutorials exactly how to set up an iTunes podcast that will help your business brand and your author brand. Other bonus course you're going to get is blogging for branding success. So I'm going to bring in some experts so you can learn how to create a workable blog editorial calendar, sizzling blog titles and content, and triple your blog readership in 90 days or less. I have friends who do this, and I'm bringing them in for that particular course. Plus, you're going to get my Develop Your eBook Niche Playbook that will walk you through the entire catalog development and restructuring process. Sometimes you're going to restructure your book catalog because your direction in business has changed so drastically that you have to. I always say, let's create a catalog that you don't have to totally restructure, but sometimes you're going to have to do that. And so the Develop Your eBook Niche Playbook gives you walkthrough videos and worksheets and audios and things that if you had to restructure, one, it teaches you how to do the whole catalog development process. But two, really to me, even more specifically, more importantly, if you have to restructure, it teaches you how to do that in the most efficient and effective way possible. Plus, you're going to get sample priority lists, timelines, and self-publishing cheat sheets to make it super easy to develop a cohesive, aligned ebook brand. Now, if you start in the ebook VIP program and you say to me, I don't know, I don't think this is working out for me. Look, you've got a 30-day money-back guarantee. We start July 6th. All you have to do is verify attendance at all of the live Q&A calls or listening to the recorded versions of those calls, your completed homework, and you complete your submit your completed assignments, good to go, money back. Here's what you get when you sign up and you become a member of the VIP program. You get step-by-step video and audio training modules. Now, let me just say a quick thing about this. Some people love to sit down in front of a computer and watch videos. I don't always like to do that. I'm a person who's driving a lot. I have 3 kids. I shuffle them back and forth to places. I'm always in the car, which is why I record a lot of my ebooks. A lot of my writing time takes place in my car with a lapel mic and my smartphone. I like audio training modules, so I deliver audio training modules. So you will get step-by-step video and audio training modules. So even when you're not in front of a computer or a tablet, or even if you're driving, you could be learning while you're doing that. You're going to get homework. You're going to get the Develop Your eBook Niche Playbook. You're going to get the live weekly Q&A calls and expert interviews. So I'm bringing in a ton of experts. You're going to get the bonus courses. And of course, you're going to get the advanced self-publishing tracking documents, priority lists, timelines, strategy cheat sheets. Everything included is a $9,200 value, close to 10 grand in value, not to mention how you're going to build revenue because of the way that you're approaching your ebooks. Today's exclusive price, $3,995. But no, it's not. Nope. That's the regular price of the course, but that's not what I'm offering you today. Today's price is $2,795. 30% off for my fast action takers, $2,795. And once you sign up, you're going to have access to a private Kindle self-publishing group that's only for members of the VIP program, with experts coming in and sharing information. Plus, if you register in the next 48 hours, You're going to get 6 30-minute coaching sessions with me. Keep in mind, I normally charge $150 an hour for a coaching session. So that's $450 of value plus priceless accountability and support. And let me tell you why I'm offering that to my fast action takers. I believe that the people who know that they're worth investing in deserve more. And because they deserve more, I'm going to give you more. And the reason why I say 6 30-minute coaching sessions, couple things. Number one, there's always a 90-minute intake session before I begin actual sessions, which means you and I will need to spend 90 minutes together, not a part of this 6 30-minute session, so I understand your business, your brand, your writer's history, your story, and what kind of books you want to write. That's 90 minutes outside of these 6 30-minute sessions. We do that first. Once I've sat down with you and I understand where you're coming from, then if you sign up for the VIP program in the next 48 hours, you're going to get 6 30-minute coaching sessions with me. And this is what we're going to do. 2 a week for 3 weeks. In those 3 weeks, we're going to get your first ebook or your next ebook up on Amazon. Period, the end. And those sessions are going to be laser. They're going to be focused. We're going to, navigate through all the things we need to navigate through. And by the end of those 6 sessions over a 3-week period, your next book or your first book will actually be up on Amazon. Guaranteed. Done deal. That's for my fast action takers. So again, if you sign up for the ebook branding VIP program, number one, you're getting it at 30% off, $2,795. Number two, you're getting 6 30-minute coaching sessions with me and your first ebook up on Kindle in 3 weeks flat. And you're getting a 90-minute intake session with me that's not even part of those 6 30-minute sessions. So where do you go to sign up? tinyurl.com/ebook VIP. That's tinyurl.com/ebook VIP. Do not miss out on this. You deserve to invest in you. You have a message in the world. The people who need you needed you 2 years ago. Some of them needed you 10 years ago. You can't afford to sleep on this. You can't afford to wait to get your message out into the world. And let me tell you something about this ebook digital publishing thing. It's still in its infant stage. Like the software, even Amazon hasn't gotten it right yet. So we're at the very beginning of this thing. If you can establish yourself as an author in ebook world now, when it's fully advanced, when the technology is much better, when people are using ebooks, like we still have situations where people are going to universities and they're using hard copy books, but in 5 to 10 years, there will no longer be hard copy books. It will be tablets. And I'm a person who loves my hard copy books. Don't get me wrong. I have a library full of books. I was very against getting a tablet for many, many years. However, what I'm saying is, this is the perfect time to be establishing your brand through ebooks because it is not as mainstream as it will be in 5 years, 7 years, and definitely not in 10 years. And the software hasn't caught up yet. It's not good enough yet for people to do ebooks with ease, write ebooks with ease. This is the moment to get involved with it. So do not miss out on an opportunity to create an entirely new stream of revenue for yourself and to create the opportunity to build your business brand before the market is truly flooded with ebooks and ebook authors in 5 and 10 years. Sign up at tinyurl.com/ebook VIP. Again, tinyurl.com/ebook VIP. So now what I want to do is take any questions. I'm actually going to stop the recording.